This is the Jeep Wrangler, and it's the iconic off-roader from America. However, here in Australia, they're not so iconic nor popular, mainly because we prefer reliable diesel-powered LandCruisers, and also pricing has crept up for a Jeep in recent years, and you do have some options coming out from China which are also off-road capable. So before walking into a showroom, I'm going to give you a guide talking about everything you must know. And I'm also going to test out this 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol, which replaces the gas-guzzling 3.6-litre naturally aspirated V6. And I'm also going to take this out off-roading, which means we've got a lot to cover. So like, share, subscribe and hit that bell, and let's get straight into the review. In terms of rivals, if you are shopping for a large body-on-frame off-roader, you'll probably look at things like the LandCruiser 70 series, the Suzuki Jimny, or even the GWM Tank 300. And pricing sits above $80,000 with the choice between a 2-door or a 4-door. There is also a selection of colours to pick from and a range of accessories on Jeep's website. And in terms of ownership, you get a 5-year warranty, but that is capped out to 100,000 kilometres. But you do get roadside for life if you service with Jeep, and per visit will set you back $399 each. Now, if we talk about the styling, this definitely looks iconic and retro themed. You have the classic Jeep radiator grille, the round LED headlights with LED DRLs and fog lights on this plastic bumper bar setup. There is also some steel underbody protection, a recovery hook, but even with the car locked, you can still open up the bonnet with these hinges, so no security there. And again, I do like the retro design elements up top and the little decal of the Willys Jeep. And if we take a look at the side view, this is sitting on 17-inch wheels with a 2-colour combination and a machined finish. And you also get big, chunky 32-inch off-road tyres, and along with performance suspension. So it is a twin live axle body-on-frame off-roader with front and rear diff locks, and you can even disconnect the sway bars for better wheel articulation. And other things to include plastic cladding on the wheel arches, and opposed to plastic side steps, you get durable rock sliders instead, dark tinted privacy glass at the back, and of course a Rubicon decal and badging down below. And if we check out the back, you have LED tail lights which are boxy, this boxy plastic rear bar, and a red recovery hook down below. The distinctive placement of the spare wheel with this vinyl cover. The glass section can also open up, but keep in mind you'll have to open up the door section first, and that might come across annoying reverse parking at a shopping centre. But there is one thing you can do that most off-roaders don't offer. You can disassemble the rooftop, and Jeep even gives you a toolkit to do it, and sections in the back to store all the pieces. So although it is retro themed, there is form to function when it comes to styling. Okay, let's talk about the interior. This car has been on sale since 2018, and apart from the screen getting bigger and the placement of these vents, nothing has changed. And although it does come across retro themed and rugged, it is far more premium comparing it to the 70 series with its farm truck interior. For example, you have soft and squidgy materials up here on the door panel, soft and squidgy up here, and also sturdy at the same time, soft elbow padding, and a bit of plastic lower down, of course, but you do get this nice leather wheel, which feels pretty good to grip onto, and you can also heat the wheel as well, plus there's manual tilt and reach adjustment, and these seats are pretty comfortable. They offer electric adjustment with lumbar. They can also be heated, and over in the centre, dual zone climate control with physical dials and buttons, along with a dedicated climate page. And this touchscreen media system is pretty easy to use. You've got your main menu here, which is customizable, and sub-menus over on the left-hand side. And like I said, physical dials and buttons, along with buttons on the wheel, and key features such as voice control, inbuilt satellite navigation with 3D mapping, and for smartphone integration, wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto. And if I go into media sources, AM, FM, DAB, Bluetooth, and if I open this up, an aux cord with a USB-C and A port, and a really bassy 9-speaker sound system, which sounds fantastic. And diving into the infotainment system, you have off-road pages to look at vehicle dynamics, accessory gauges, pitch and roll, and a shortcut into the forward-facing camera. And in terms of safety, this did score a 3-star NCAP rating, and there is no 360 camera. Like I said, the reversing camera with a forward-facing camera, but there are front and rear parking sensors, a rear cross traffic alert, auto-dimming rear vision mirror, autonomous emergency braking, adaptive cruise control, blind spot monitoring, but there is no lane departure warning or traffic sign recognition. But you do get this basic gauge cluster showing media functions, fuel consumption, and dedicated off-road pages. And on that note, you have a selector here to swap the four-wheel drive system from 2H to 4A for a sealed surface, and four-wheel drive high range and low range for off-road driving. This model also has front, center, and rear diff locks, accessory buttons for lighting and winches. You can also disconnect the sway bar links for better wheel articulation, a dedicated off-road traction mode, and an off-road cruise control, which acts as your hill descent control. And what about storage? Well, the glove box is pretty tiny. It fits this bag, but you do get big chunky cup holders with a device holder, a small glove box up here for the toolkit to disassemble this rooftop, and down beneath it, decent glove box with a USB-A port, but the netted storage does make the door pockets pretty useless. And there is this old traditional key, which flips out the key and a remote start function, keyless entry, and push ignition down the bottom here. Like I said, there are two different versions between the 3-door with cramped rear seats and this 5-door version with plenty of knee room, toe room, and headroom, with this seat set in my position. And despite having a bit of a hump in the floor, I've still got plenty of knee room, toe room, and headroom, so fitting 3 people is okay back here. And in terms of other key features, we've got map pockets behind here, curtain hangers, directional air vents, and your window switches are down here, along with USB-C charging, a power socket, a little bit of storage for a phone, and netted storage on the doors, which is kind of pointless, your top mounted lighting and the stereo system, grab handles here, and a flip down armrest with 2 small cup holders, a device holder, and a second device holder here as well. Finally, for child seats, 2 ISOFIX points and 3 top tether points. Moving on to boot space. If you want to open up this glass section, you need to open up this door first, and vice versa. If you close this, not going to happen, so both doors need to be open. But once you do open that up, there's 365 litres of boot space, and the seats can also fold down into a 60-40 split, expanding volume to 898 litres. And the shape itself is boxy, meaning you can fit in suitcases and large items of luggage. And on the right hand side, the location for the subwoofer, there are tie-down points across the floor to keep items secure, a 12-volt socket, and beneath the carpet, the location for the toolkit and sections to store pieces when you disassemble the roof. And finally, on the tailgate piece, a data plate showing dimensions, weighting depth, and some other key data on the Wrangler. Gone is the old, unrefined, fuel-sucking, naturally aspirated petrol V6 in favour for this, a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol. And it makes 200 kilowatts of power, 400 Nm of torque, which is up compared to the previous V6, and it's all paired together with an 8-speed auto and a selectable 4-wheel drive system. And when it comes to towing, on your screen is a breakdown on all key specifications about towing capacity, and we're also going to go off-roading, and again, on your screen is a breakdown on all key specifications when it comes to off-road driving. Okay, driving impressions. So being a Jeep, there's good all-round visibility, especially when you take the roof off and all the side panels, but overall good forward visibility. Wing mirrors are nice and boxy, good side vision, and rear vision is okay, but a little bit blocked out by that spare tyre. One thing that does let this car down though, the wind noise, because of its shape, it's not aerodynamic, and you hear a lot of groan from those all-terrain tyres. So yeah, not refined from that perspective, but some people might appreciate its analog feel. and the ruggedness of the drive experience. The suspension, on the other hand, look, it is a body-on-frame vehicle, advanced off-road gear underneath, and big, heavy, all-terrain tyres. So it's never going to be smooth on the road, but surprisingly, it's quite relaxing on the open road. The seats are a little bit firm, but a lot better than a Jimny, or at least a 70 series LandCruiser, that's for sure. So yeah, retro styling elements, four-wheel drive capability. It feels rugged, but it doesn't feel unbearable like a Jimny or a 70 series in a way, even though I do like the 70 series a lot. Now, steering wise, like I said, it is a body-on-frame vehicle. There is a bit of play in the wheel, and you'll find yourself correcting the wheel quite often, especially in the countryside. But yeah, not too bad, and it's pretty similar to a 70 series in terms of how it drives, but a little bit more refined, if that draws a picture in your head. The brakes, you get front and rear disc brakes. They perform pretty well. Safety tech doesn't come across annoying. You do have blind spot monitoring, automatic braking up front, which does help. But surprisingly, no annoying beeps and bonks. I just wish you had a 360 camera, but then again, good all-round visibility thanks to the boxy shape and the boxy windows, so to most people, that shouldn't be a problem. Do I like this turbo petrol compared to the Versty 3-litre V6? If I put my foot down, the gearbox reacts okay, and lower down on the torque band, there's plenty of pull. So therefore, a lot more punchier at lower speeds compared to the naturally aspirated V6. And getting up on the motorway, it seems fine, but it doesn't throw you back into your seat like the V6 does once it got moving. And don't forget, it is a heavy four-wheel drive, so yeah, the V6 feels more suited, but I think a V8 option would be a lot better and more fun. What about fuel consumption? The official combined figure is 9.8 litres per 100, and around town and around the city, you'll average 13.7. And on the motorway, running it in two-wheel drive, only using rear-wheel drive mode, you'll drop that figure down to 12 litres, which is fair and reasonable for the size of the vehicle and the weight. And now time for off-road driving impressions. We're going to engage hill descent control, which works with the off-road cruise control. Test that out to make sure it's not too fast, so I'll make sure it's in four-wheel drive high range, which it is. To enter, select speed, shift to four-wheel drive low. So that only works in four-wheel drive low range. Let's engage that now, neutral, and switch this on. And to decrease and increase the speed, like cruise control, you just press the plus and minus on the wheel. And so far, it's pretty slow. One of the more slow systems that I've experienced. And even when I'm trying to speed it up, it's a little bit just too slow for my liking. So already the performance dampers do make a difference off-road. It's still a bit bouncy, as you can see with the camera footage, and you've got a wide track, but the cabin feels very narrow. And now, let's go up in four-wheel drive high range. Neutral, flick that up to four-wheel drive high range, the part-time four-wheel drive system, and see how it performs without any diff locks engaged. Even if I did this in two-wheel drive high range, I'd probably make it up here because the tyres are very good. And as you can see, it's just moving along fine in its natural habitat. And this is really where you're getting your money's worth if you are a serious hardcore off-roader. And also compared to the LandCruiser, which is probably just as capable. Of course it's going to be more reliable, resale value is going to be better, but you do have a bit more tech in here and a bit more refinement, considering that it is pretty much like a beach buggy. You can take the roof off. There is one key difference with the Powertrain being a turbo 4-cylinder. It's not as leery, and you do have a lurchier accelerator pedal travel because of the turbo. But yeah, for off-road driving it's pretty good. The fuel consumption isn't going down as much compared to when I took the V6 petrol out here. So yeah, overall a decent powertrain. But you know what? If Jeep brought out the V8 version, they do one in the States, this car would be so successful. You look at things like the Nissan Patrol Warrior, the Ram, the previous SRT8. They've all been very successful. Okay, let's now engage four-wheel drive low range. Neutral, flick this down, and yeah, all ready to go. Okay, going down this hill. Whoop, too fast. These tyres give you great traction. It's a bit slippery. It rained a bit a couple of days ago. And going back around, let's see how this performs without any diff locks engaged. Good articulation. Wow, that is fantastic. And let's engage the diff locks right now. We're going to go front and rear diff locks. Why not? The most important diff lock is your rear one, but let's see if it makes it more capable. So locked in and going back up. Much better. You can set it to speed and pretty much does its thing. So yeah, pretty capable. And so, a conclusion on the Wrangler. Comparing this with a LandCruiser 70 series, this does drive better, there's more tech, more refinement, and it's also just as capable off-road, but when it comes to resale value and reliability, those two factors are crowned by the LandCruiser. And the Wrangler is also expensive these days. And although the 4-cylinder turbo petrol is a little bit more efficient comparing it to the petrol V6, if you're going to offer an expensive niche product, put a V8 in it, because in the past for Jeep and other Stellantis products, that formula has worked, especially in Australia. But let me know what you think. Would you pick this over any other off-roader? Let me know your feedback, and like, share, subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.